everyone, my name is Mayanthi. I'm a qualified counsellor. I make videos on how I became a counsellor and what you might want to know if you're looking to become a counsellor as well. So I made a previous video about my redundancy story, basically how I was made redundant from one of my main or first jobs. And I had a comment on that video asking how did I get back into the job market. So I will be sharing that with you today. So the first thing I did was set up my private counselling practice. I took the redundancy as a bit of a sign that it was something I wanted to do from the very beginning, but because I kind of just had a job, I sat in the comfort zone and as much as I had this dream to start my own counselling practice, I was getting a stable income, I was working with clients, and I just didn't want to step out and do my own thing and, take that risk at that time. So once I lost the job, I took it as a sign and thought, maybe this is my time to start my counselling practice. So I set that all up, and I've talked about that in other videos if you want to know how I did that. But that was probably the first thing I was able to do in earning some sort of income again. I didn't have a large client base or anything like that, but for me the scary part was actually setting up the business side of things and having it all set up to then get the clients. So having set it up, I was ready to start marketing myself. And also part of the redundancy, the organisation connected us with a career counsellor type person. So someone who I ended up meeting with after the redundancy, and they helped me put my resume back together, and they would read cover letters and things like that when I was applying for jobs. So having them kind of helped with getting back into the field as well. They also have networks and connections, but they didn't really help me in that way. I wasn't able to get connected with anyone in terms of actually finding a job through them. So during the time after I was made redundant, I started applying for various jobs. So they weren't just counselling roles, they were kind of case management, NDIS support coordination type work. So one of the jobs I applied for was as a disability advisor at a university. So I got called in for an interview. I went to the interview and it all seemed to go well, and then I didn't get a call back. So I then contacted them to just follow up, and they told me that unfortunately they had also interviewed someone else who had tertiary education experience, so they were going to hire that person, but they did say that I did well in the interview and that I was the second choice, which was nice but also not very nice because second choice doesn't get the job. So I did let them know to keep me in mind if any future opportunities come up, and that particular role was actually a maternity leave cover contract. So it was only I think 12-month contract, so it was going to be short term, but at that point I was looking for anything just to get my foot in the door. But I didn't get that job, so I continued to apply for other things. I also reached out to my own networks, so previous managers who were at now different organizations, and I kind of just messaged them on LinkedIn and just said, I'm no longer working at that organization, so if they had any opportunities that came up, it would be great if they could let me know. And one of them actually did get back to me, and it was really kind and supportive of him to say, we do have some job opportunities at that organization, so provide your resume and we'll see if we can get you in for an interview. So they did call me in for an interview, and this was at an aged care facility as a lifestyle assistant / coordinator, so basically running groups and activities for the elderly people in the facility. So I thought that would be fun. I thought I do enjoy doing kind of physical activity based work, and I do feel it still has a therapeutic aspect to that. So I was looking forward to that, and they interviewed me and I ended up getting the role, but it was going to be only casual and very small hours here and there, so it wasn't like a full-time or even part-time job. But I thought, again, happy to take whatever I can get at this point. So there was a bit of admin to do behind that job. I had to do like a medical and all these clearances and checks, and so that was taking quite a long time. And in the meantime, I had applied for other jobs as well. And I also got another interview at a organization which supported people with mental health or mental illnesses, providing counselling services. So I went for an interview there, and the funny thing is, a couple weeks later, which is when I was going through the process for the lifestyle assistant coordinator job, this mental health organization called me and offered me a job as a counsellor. And again, another funny thing, not long after that, the university that I interviewed at previously, they contacted me and said they've got a new role that they're trialing, and they thought that I would be a good person to slot into that role. So all of a sudden, this was pretty much 2 months after I was made redundant. I had 3 job offers, and I was in that very, I would say lucky position, but I did feel like I had, done the work to get into that position as well. But I was just very grateful that I did have all of those opportunities and I could actually choose which one to take. So because the lifestyle coordinator assistant job was casual, I didn't think that was going to be sustainable. And now that I have these other opportunities, I thought I need to go with the more long-term option. So I had always wanted to work at a university. There's something, I think, because I'd wanted to be like a school counsellor, work with young people. Universities, there's lots of young people just starting out with their study journey and their future careers. So I thought that was going to be an exciting place to work. So I decided to turn down the other counselling role and take on the job at the university. And I think I'm so glad I made that decision, because I really enjoyed the work that I did there. I enjoyed the team that I was a part of, and I've now since moved to Melbourne, and I'm now working at a university here as well. So without having that experience in Adelaide at a university, I don't think I would have gotten the opportunity to get this job here in Melbourne, also at a university. So when I look back, as much as the redundancy was quite a traumatic time, I do think everything happened for a reason. Everything happened exactly the way it was meant to, and I'm glad to be where I am today. So thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and follow along if you're not already.